My friend, there's a big chance that how you're holding your guitar pick is currently holding you back on your guitar journey. I kind of know what I'm talking about because I started out playing guitar like this. So I was picking with kind of a reverse grip like this, so the pick wasn't attacking the strings like that, which is what you see with 90% of guitar players or more. So instead of this, the normal or usual angle, I was attacking the strings like that. So the reverse angle. My thumb looked like this, so you can see a pretty nice curve going on right here. And it was a very tense grip, so I was really pushing hard with my thumb and my hand was always cramping up a little bit. And I was also pushing with my arm, so my wrist was completely locked. It wasn't a movement like this, it was more of a movement like that. So playing like this with this kind of weird reverse angle allowed me to play some cool stuff here and there. So I had my quote-unquote signature licks back then that just worked out with this weird grip. So some of those classic, relatively fast 3-note per string licks actually worked with this weird grip. But as soon as I wanted to play more creative licks, where I'm actually jumping between the strings in interesting ways and I'm not just playing the scales up and down, this would happen. I would get completely stuck between the strings and I couldn't really navigate freely across multiple strings, like jumping back and forth. So this weird grip worked for some patterns, but I couldn't play anything I wanted to play. And I don't know about your personal biggest goals with the instrument, but mine is playing absolutely anything I want at any speed that I want. As a professional guitar player, when you're booked for a studio or a live gig, you often have to take notes from a producer or arranger, or you have to play stuff that you didn't actually write. I'm sure that you tried to learn a guitar solo or tricky lick from one of your favorite guitar players at one point, and no matter how hard you worked on it, you couldn't play it. So with this video I want to show you the pick grip that completely unlocked my picking technique, that allows me to play anything I want at pretty much any tempo I want, like this, without using a fret wrap or any kind of dampening devices, so super clean results. And you can use it for pretty much any picking technique and speed it up as much as you want. And on top I will show you the 5 best exercises for building your own pick grip and a scientific method of proving if your pick grip really works for everything you want it to. So when it comes to my grip, what I'm doing is actually quite simple. You might have seen me talk about this before. I'm placing my pick right here. That's pretty much the most important detail of it all. In the past I had it placed directly on this knuckle or on this one right here, and that was pretty bad in my personal experience. So when you place it directly on a knuckle like this, it feels kind of weird, almost unstable. And when you place it further away, like right here, almost on the tip of the finger, the distance between the fingers gets pretty big and you get this kind of hole in between your thumb and index finger. That also doesn't feel right, and when I did this I kind of worked with my fingers like this while I was picking, which is not great for consistent results if your fingers are always moving around like this and you end up with a slightly different picking angle for every single stroke. So the best and most reliable way that I found of holding the pick is really placing it right here and then simply closing the hand like this. So without playing guitar, just taking a look at the pick grip, it looks pretty much exactly like this whenever I'm playing. So my ultimate goal when it comes to the topic of pick grip is having one grip that basically works for everything. And this is what today's first exercise is all about. Check it out. So this might look quite simple, but it's actually the most important foundation when it comes to your pick grip, because a lot of students on Patreon have developed the bad habit that when they're playing chords, so either when they're riffing, if they're rock and metal guitar players, or when they're just strumming chords, they use a completely different pick grip and picking technique compared to what they're doing when they're playing scales or lead parts. And in my personal experience and opinion, this is something you really want to avoid, because in a practical context you often have to go from playing chords or riffs straight into playing a guitar solo or lead part. And if you completely have to reposition your picking hand, or if you have to hold your pick kind of differently for doing both of these things, that will result in some nasty unprofessional transitions from playing rhythm guitar to playing lead guitar. So with this first exercise you can try using your current pick grip to play the dead notes and the chord after that. With both of them I want you to focus on playing groups of 3 at first with the 16th notes. So you're accenting the 16th notes like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you go into the triplets. And you keep this pattern for the chord. With my personal technique, when I'm playing chords like this and when I'm strumming, this is pretty much the only time where my wrist is not connected to the bridge. So for any kind of alternate picking or sweep picking stuff, I place my hand on the bridge like this. But for strumming chords like this, and especially for funk patterns like that, the wrist is not always connected to the bridge like this. It's popping out like this. But what's really important right here, and what's the biggest focus with this exercise, is that my pick grip is not changing at all. So when I'm playing chords like this, my fingers are not moving like that all of a sudden, or I'm not holding my pick any different when I'm doing this, because I want to be able to transition into playing lead stuff right away, which is what exercise number 2 is all about. Check it out. Alright, so as you could see with that second exercise, I was playing the second half of the first exercise and then I transitioned into a simple pentatonic phrase. So I want to make sure to play this one with alternate picking, so always down, up, down, up, down, up, and so on. And much more importantly, I want to make sure to really nail that transition coming out of the chord and into the pentatonic phrase. So as you could see, moving from the chord into the scale phrase, I wasn't opening my hand like this, I wasn't changing the picking angle completely or the entire picking grip or approach. And if you give this a try right now at a higher speed, chances are you will feel very awkward doing this, because you probably never practiced this way. We always practice our topics very isolated, so we might work like 15 minutes on rhythm guitar, then 15 minutes on alternate picking lead guitar stuff. But if you don't really connect these topics in your practice routine, you will run into some problems when it comes to developing one pick grip and one picking technique that works for absolutely everything. So if you can't do this right now at around 100 BPM, like I did it with the practical example, the exercise I recorded for you, there might be something wrong with your pick grip and your picking technique that's really holding you back right now. And today is the day where you will finally fix it. I recorded a complete 30-day picking course for my Patreon community on patreon.com/burned. You can find the link in the description and in the first comment down below. This very structured course program will finally eliminate all your bad habits when it comes to picking technique in just 30 days. You will move from the foundations of picking, so very easy exercises with the focus on perfect technique, to intermediate and even some advanced exercises at the end. So there is no frustrating curve in difficulty. It starts very easy and it gets just a little bit more tricky every single day until you reach the final workout challenge at day number 30. Working on these exercises for 30 days has changed the life of over 40,000 students by now. I honestly sometimes can't believe the before and after comparison videos myself. It has been truly life-changing for a lot of these students. So if you're having some issues with the exercises from this video and you feel like you developed some bad habits with your picking and that it's finally time to get rid of them, to finally get absolute freedom when it comes to your picking technique, to play all your favorite solos and compose your own crazy shredding lines, this is your calling, the moment that you've been waiting for. Just click the link in the description or in the first comment, patreon.com/burned. Start my 30-day picking challenge today and also get all the files for this lesson. And after 30 days, enjoy your newly gained freedom of playing anything you want as fast as you want. But let's move to the next exercise. It's getting really interesting now. It looks like this. Alright, so with this exercise you obviously want to learn how to transition from playing 2-note per string stuff like any pentatonic licks to playing the classic 3-note per string shredding lines, like the cool harmonic minor scale run I played when I followed the pentatonic lick. And the reason why this is extremely important is because most players either develop a preference for pentatonic licks, so 2-note per string stuff, or the classic 3-note per string shredding. And with your pick grip and your picking technique, you want to effortlessly switch between those two things. I personally have to confess that I always worked on 3-note per string shredding. And as soon as it was time to switch to fast 2-note per string licks like the one I played, I felt pretty awkward when it comes to my picking technique because I wasn't used to that. So this exercise is really good and healthy for you to practice if you have a clear preference when it comes to 2-note or 3-note per string stuff. The one tip I can give you with the pentatonic licks, so the 2-note per string stuff, is angling your pick a little bit more like this instead of that. So not changing the pick grip or your picking technique completely, simply changing the picking angle from something like this to something like that. Because since you're playing 2 notes per string, 1, 2, your pick usually has to escape between the strings after an upstroke. So if you're playing like this with your pick facing upwards, it will be much easier to escape from in between the strings compared to when you're playing like this, where you're kind of moving in between the strings automatically after every single upstroke. So for any 2-note per string stuff, just try to turn your pick a little bit like this. and watch your pick moving away from the strings pretty much automatically. Makes your life much easier right away. And I think you've kind of been waiting for it. With the next exercise, I want to talk about one of the biggest frustrations when it comes to advanced picking technique. Moving from alternate picking to sweep picking and back without changing the technique that much. This is a great exercise for that. Let's check it out. So once again, as you could hopefully see, when I'm switching between alternate picking and sweep picking, I'm not completely changing my picking approach, my pick grip, and my whole picking technique. So my sweep picking looks pretty much exactly the same when it comes to the pick grip compared to when it comes to alternate picking. And I feel like in our practice routines we naturally separate those topics. So we first work on alternate picking licks, and then later we might move to sweep picking etudes, arpeggio stuff, all of that. So I really want to challenge you to practice exercises like the one I wrote for you, or to come up with your own workouts that combine those two techniques, because let's be honest, let's face it, this is what you're gonna do when you play a guitar solo. Most of the time you're not gonna do like 4 measures of just alternate picking and then go into 4 measures of just sweep picking and all of that. It's usually very mixed and combined. And if you have a technique that's always kind of changing with your picking and the pick grip that's different for those two techniques, it's not gonna work out for you. And now here's the big surprise and big reveal. For the final challenge, of course, I want you to put everything together that I talked about in this video so far. So this is a really cool workout etude that combines both strumming, alternate picking, sweep picking, and different picking approaches like picking 2 notes per string and 3 notes per string. The practice goal for this video is playing this small practice etude at 100 beats per minute, while effortlessly switching between all those picking styles and keeping the same pick grip. Check it out. Alright my friend, make sure to download all your practice files for this etude on patreon.com/burned right now. I made special guitar profiles for you, tab PDFs and play along videos at very slow tempos and also fast tempos so that you can practice with me in your routine. Over there you will also get access to my 30-day picking course, where you move from very easy exercises to intermediate and advanced workouts over the course of 30 days. I guarantee you that this will get rid of your bad picking habits and all of your frustrations with your picking technique in just 1 month. The student success rate is honestly quite crazy with this one. I'm super happy that I can help so many people with it. So if you're still not part of the biggest guitar community on Patreon and you're still struggling with bad technique habits, today is your day. Click the link in the description and in the first comment down below, patreon.com/burn. Join the world's biggest guitar community on Patreon today. I'm waiting for you over there. Have an awesome day. Greetings from Vienna and bye bye.